All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. If you can find your seats, we still have some people coming in from the garage, but we'll get started trying to keep everybody on schedule this morning. All right. On behalf of Broward Workshop, thank you for joining us at the 17th Annual State of the County Forum. I am Steve Hudson, current chairman of Broward Workshop. Please rise and welcome the Everglades High School Junior ROTC, led by Chief Porter. They will be presenting our nation's colors, followed by the Honorable Mayor Dean Trentalis of the City of Fort Lauderdale, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And back for a third time, Karina Joseph, a former Broward College student and now a music teacher at Abundant Life Christian Academy, who will sing the national anthem.
Color guard, stand by. Advance to present the colors. Color guard, attention. Carry colors. March time, march. Right turn, march. Forward, march. Half steps, march. Forward, march. Part time, march. Left turn, march. Color guard, halt. Present arms.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet waved o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Order arms. Part time, march. Right turn, march. Forward, march. Half
Thank you very much. Yes, please give him a round of applause. Please be seated. Karina, you give me goosebumps when you sing. That's incredible. Your voice is amazing. The Broward Workshop was established in 1981, and we would like you to watch this video, a little bit about our organization, what we do, and who we are. Please roll the video. Our workshop is an organization consisting of over 100 members, top CEO, decision makers, businesses that are located here in Broward County. They all have a vested interest to better our community. We meet every month and talk about all of these issues. We have great speakers that we bring in, and when you get all of that brain power in one place, amazing things will happen.
One of the things that's so special about the Broward Workshop is they come to the table not talking about what's best for my company. These are people who are volunteering their time and money to ask the question, where do we want Broward to go 10, 20, 30 years from now? How do we get 100% of our kindergartners ready for kindergarten? That's every kindergartner, not just their kids. How can we work with mayors and county commissioners and city councils and school boards? And how do we work with everybody in the community to really get this alignment around where do we want to go as a county?
Without the Broward Workshop, Broward County wouldn't be what it is today. These are people, men and women, who have their own businesses to run, yet they take the time out of their busy days to make sure that Broward's a better place.
These are the trusted voices that we can rely on. You can go to one place and be able to get everything from the healthcare professionals to the transportation professionals to housing professionals, business community leaders, lawyers. You've got the whole gamut of it all, including our favorite sports franchise, the Florida Panthers.
The Broward Workshop is more relevant than we've ever been in our history since 1981. The most recent initiatives that we've concentrated are housing affordability, resiliency, and commuter rail. An example of how we're able to fulfill our mission is through collaborations. And one of those collaborations is in healthcare. We've brought together 4 of the hospitals, and we're working on the issues of nursing shortage, as well as trying to get services to the underserved areas here in Broward County.
Visit Lauderdale's 100% government. We have a representative on the workshop who serves on our Tourist Development Council. So that helps a lot, bringing the business perspective to us.
The Broward Workshop's been just a great group to collaborate with. Everything from, airport issues in the master plan to the port and their master plan, transportation initiatives. So all of these major initiatives that will impact the entire community.
We all know we've seen huge migration into South Florida for the quality of life. And part of that quality of life is the environment that we have. Our coral reef system is a huge tourist attraction. We need to protect those reefs. And through our collaboration with the Marine Research Hub, we work with the blue economy.
The Broward Workshop helped us expanding the convention center so that we can compete as a top-tier destination. They had a lot of muscle behind them. And they went to the podium at a public meeting to get this project off the ground. So things like the Broward County Convention Center expansion and the 801 Room Omni Hotel keep people employed. They can feed their families, they can pay their bills. That's what we do best. That's what the Broward Workshop does best.
Can't say enough good things. If all 67 counties had the equivalent of a Broward Workshop, I think Florida would be in an even better place.
As the county administrator, I want to thank the Broward Workshop for their role in making Broward County the best place to live, learn, work, and play.
Broward Workshop is engaged as we love this community, and we're going to continue to work to make Broward County better and better. It's definitely more impactful with the sound. Okay, we're delighted to have so many dignitaries and elected officials here with us this morning. When I read your name, please stand so you can be recognized by the audience. And audience, please hold your applause until the end. We have Mayor Beam Furr and Broward County Commissioners and the County Administrator Monica Sapiro, if you would stand. The city mayors, city commissioners, and city managers, please stand. Broward County School Board Superintendent Hepburn and school board members. Under Sheriff Nicole Anderson, BSO, and local law enforcement officers. You guys are really shy. You're supposed to be standing so you can be recognized. No? Okay, well, you will be recognized but not standing. We have the agency directors and representatives from the airport, Port Everglades, Broward MPO, FDOT, and SFRTA. All the Broward County constitutional officers. The agency directors and representatives from the airport, Port Everglades, Broward MPO, FDOT, and SFRTA. Commissioners from both Broward Health, Memorial Healthcare, and all the leaders from our healthcare sector. The leaders from the Alliance, the Chamber, and the other chambers, the other cities' chambers. I want to personally thank our special guests, the men and women who serve and protect us in this great nation of ours, the members of our U.S. Armed Forces and veterans. I invite all the veterans in the room to stand and give them applause. Yes, please. And finally, Broward Workshop members, please stand. I'd like to thank you, the members of Broward Workshop, who make this wonderful event possible and who continue to dedicate their time, resources, and to make Broward County a great place to visit, learn, live, work, and play. Thank you very much. So this is our largest crowd to date, and we have this beautiful venue. Thank you, Stacy. We have about 1,000 attendees here this morning, and it's a testimonial really to how strong we feel about the state of our county. We appreciate you joining us as the Broward Workshop continues to collaborate with various public and private organizations to explore solutions to critical issues that are important to our diverse and growing community. Over the years, this forum has provided the workshop an opportunity to open a community dialogue and highlight key issues such as infrastructure needs, airport, seaport, transportation. We have researched the unfunded pension liabilities and post-retirement benefit costs of the 31 municipalities. We've highlighted and supported the need for improved educational standards and accountability for our children. We've delved into the impact of our multi-generational workforce, the metaverse. We had a restaurant tour last year. And along the way, we've heard from a couple of political speeches as well. So let's get started. I have the pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Broward County, the Honorable Beam Furr, who will provide the traditional State of the County address. Mayor Furr represents District 6, the southeast part of our county, and was first elected to the Broward County Commission in 2014. Prior to that, he was a Hollywood Commissioner for 12 years, and prior to that, he was a teacher in the Broward County school system for 25 years. Mayor Furr's main focuses on environmental issues, early childhood education, transportation, housing, economic opportunity, and the arts. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Broward County, please welcome Beam Furr.
Thanks, Steve.
Everybody, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, Broward. Welcome to the port. It is day 2 of tariffs, and we are raking it in. We are raking it in. So much so that we are going to comp all the parking fees for everybody. You got to have a Florida plate. You got to tell us you're from Broward. If you're coming from Palm Beach, you're coming from Miami-Dade, you're going to have to cough it up. We got to pay for all this new stuff we got going. Before I go anywhere, I want to thank Corinne for first of all, for the invitation to speak here today, but also for putting this huge thing together. Nice job, Corinne. Thank you. Let's get it. And I must admit, I do get a little excited and combined with just a touch of pride when I see these incredible improvements coming up around us. My theme for my being mayor this year is Broward All In. And I don't know if there is a bigger example of all in than when this county commission decided to lean in and invest in ourselves and voted to build the new convention center and the hotel. It's the only vote other than the budget that I've ever had to take that had 12 zeros after it. It's a lot of zeros. It was certainly an example of us pushing our chips to the center of the table, but watching the surrounding hotels upping their game like Pier 66 that has been a testament to the catalyst of this investment. The soft opening is scheduled for this fall. I think Stacy Ritter's already picking out the drapes, and this place is going to shoot up to the top of the conference destinations. The Broward Workshop may want to think about reserving this room now for this annual function for next year and for years to come, because I think the reservations are going to go pretty quickly. And I would suggest doing it on this same exact day, because I don't know if you know, but today is National Do Something Day. But it's also National Procrastination Week. So I don't know if for anybody else, that screams workshop to me. So I think it's a perfect day for this. I do want to take this time to acknowledge my 8 best friends on the County Commission who were instrumental in making some of this new stuff happen. I feel very fortunate to work with this County Commission, because time after time, I have seen the rough edges of good ideas smoothed over and polished thanks to the wide spectrum of life experiences and collected wisdom of these men and women. We listen to each other, we often change each other's mind, and it feels almost like a quaint vestige from the past. We do it with civility and respect for each other. So if the County Commission would please stand up, Vice Mayor Bogan, Commissioners Davis, Fisher, Geller, McKenzie, Rich, Rogers, and Udine, if you all would please stand up. That's a good team right there. And I would also like to acknowledge the administration and staff. In these days of Doge, when I'm fairly sure they stole that straight out of a Harry Potter book, The Ministry of Efficiency, in these days where the federal employees are being asked to announce their accomplishments every week in a couple of bullet points, I'm grateful that we are taking, by and large, an entirely different approach. There's nothing wrong with trying to eliminate waste and try to be as productive and efficient as possible. But how you go about that makes all the difference. And when someone is asking me, And when someone is asking me, how is the county doing? I tell them, morale is high. Our staff feels empowered, and our workforce comes to work every day ready to serve the public. And I want to thank our administration, Monica Sapero and her team, I think they're over there somewhere, who I would like to, if you all would stand up for just a moment. Thank you for cultivating that managerial style. Because her staff, these are the people that make sure the planes land safely, which is no given these days. They run our libraries, they drive our buses, they take care of stray animals, they help the homeless, they make sure the roads are safe and the lights all work, they keep our parks beautiful, they make sure our water is safe to drink and our air is clean to breathe. And when there is an emergency, these are the people on the front lines. These are the people largely invisible to most of us that make the state of this county strong. They keep and hold the hard and soft infrastructure together. And they make our lives infinitely better every single day. So thank you, Monica, and your staff. Thank you. A good example of this approach that frankly fills me with pride and gratitude came when our library director came to us and wanted to know if we were okay, the county commission was okay, with her signing the American Library Association's Bill of Rights. As many of you probably know, there have been a slew of challenges to books in libraries throughout the nation, but none more so in Florida, where unfortunately we lead the nation in banned books. We told our library director that not only were we fine with her signing that Bill of Rights, but that if any book got banned, we would make sure to put 2 more on the public library shelves. And we told her explicitly, we've got your back. And I say that because librarians throughout the nation have been subjected to all kinds of threats just for doing their jobs and keeping books on the shelves for everybody. That was all she needed to hear, that we had her back. And she took it from there, and this year, Allison Grubbs, Broward County's library director, won the Toni Morrison Intellectual Freedom Award. There's only one of those given out every year. So our county, Broward County, can be proud of the fact that this year, in this vast nation of ours, with all the libraries there are, all the library directors, and by default, Broward County, it has been recognized at the highest levels for intellectual freedom. Think of what that means for a moment and what it says about us as a county. It says that in this county, we believe that every person has a right to explore ideas, views, and material for themselves. Ideas not everyone might be comfortable with, but nevertheless, to be free to explore and draw their own opinions, and to do so without fear or reprisal. And I think that this fundamental right to explore one's curiosity without fear or reprisal, Americans of all stripes feel this is basic to our core. But not every county has taken a stand. Broward County has. Another example of a government employee going above and beyond for all of our sakes, and this is someone that the Broward Workshop knows very well. Dr. Jennifer Jurado, our resilience officer, is recognized far beyond Broward County as one of the foremost experts on climate change. Dr. Jurado was challenged by this body, by the Broward Workshop, to come up with a blueprint for resilience, one that was quantified with metrics and return on investments of how we can address the effects of climate change and ensure that our homes, our businesses, and our families can still be here for generations to come. This is a work that is unparalleled anywhere in this country. It is a work that opens the doors to innovation and entrepreneurs on a scale that will be very exciting to this region. And I point these examples out, and believe me, there are a whole lot more, that in these times when on the federal level, it seems to be okay to show disdain for those people that do the often invisible work of keeping daily life thrumming along and keeping us safe from a multitude of harms, at a time when government employees feel more like abstractions for news headlines and debates than real people. I hope these examples remind us and ground us. And in Broward County, we take the opposite approach and we empower people to do their best. They know what they do is a public service, and they are energized by that to do their very best. And I want to thank them for that because it makes the quality of all of our lives that much better. So as much as I would like to ignore what's happening on the federal level, I can't, because we find ourselves at not one, but many inflection points where decisions have to be made so we can move forward. We have a river to cross, we have a port to dredge, sand to move, an intermodal center and people mover we need to get moving on, a railroad to run, and a lot of housing to build. We have these things to accomplish in a far different environment than before. It is hard to predict what kind of state and federal resources might be available going forward, not to mention what regulations may be changing. We have laid the groundwork for all these initiatives. We have laid groundwork on top of groundwork. But I am optimistic that this year we will get that go-ahead on some of these. And what gives me that silly idea? Let's start with tunnel or bridge. There is, as we speak, a resolution being worked on to go forward with an LPA, a local preferred alternative, and an application to the Federal Transit Administration with the backing of both the county and the city of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you. That had to be Dean. In order to get ourselves in the queue for approval of a commuter rail system from Aventura to Deerfield Beach. It doesn't solve the main issue yet, but it does create momentum, It gives us a framework to consider all alternatives, and most important, a deadline to get things figured out. And I want to thank the Fort Lauderdale Commission for their willingness to move forward. This is an important project for the county and for all the cities along the FEC that it affects. It will transform all of those downtowns. And when we see delays like the dredging of the port and the sand bypass, it chisels away at the confidence people have in government to get things done. A new administration may look at the groundwork we've done, our willingness to put a lot of skin in the game, and be willing to cut through some red tape. We've got a good story to tell. Our port is breaking records in the cruise industry, and the boats are getting bigger and bigger and bringing more and more stuff, so we can't wait any longer. And my hope is not unfounded. This last year, after beating our heads against the wall for at least 10 years that I know of, trying to get the Army Corps of Engineers to acknowledge the urgency and initiate the Central and South Florida study, a prerequisite to dealing with the very antiquated water management system predating the understanding of sea level rise. We tried a new approach. We offered to pay half. And lo and behold, they have found a way to get this thing going at an accelerated clip, and we are now on track to get this in Congress's hands by next year. That is a major breakthrough and a huge win. Then there's the airport. In the last 10 years, it has grown tremendously. It took a hit with COVID, but we are pretty much back where we were, which is very busy. We are currently in a system where the airlines themselves determine what improvements are to be made and when they are to occur because they help pay for them. We have had a master plan on the shelf for almost 5 years now. It's time to make some decisions. Or we need to change the way we go about running the airport. If we're going to continue to grow, we have to build the infrastructure to handle that growth. And delaying it costs us time and money. And that discussion needs to happen sooner than later. And that brings us to probably our biggest challenge, and that is housing. Over half of our citizens are considered house burdened. That's defined when over half of your income goes toward paying for your shelter. There's a lot of reasons for it. Northerners moving down here, creating excess demand, hedge funds buying up all the starter homes and making Airbnbs, hurting the dream of single-family home ownership for many, luxury condos being built instead of workforce housing, the condo crisis with deferred maintenance and high assessments, and maybe most important, no more land to build on. Put it all together and you are seeing an enormous amount of stress on the market and on the workforce. Last year, much thanks to Senator Rich, we passed an affordable housing plan that looks at all of these things. And this commission is doing all it can with regard to supply and demand, encouraging higher wages, transit-oriented development, land use and zoning, and any other creative way to make sure people have the most fundamental of needs met, that of a secure place to live. But sometimes people slip through those cracks, and I am so thankful that I live in a county where there are people to help out with grace and compassion. The United Way, Salvation Army, Community Foundation, Career Source, Children's Services Council, and a host of others, too many to mention. I said it last year and I'll say it again. The state of our county is good, not because of all the positive economic metrics we are blessed with, that are by and large the envy of many areas around the country. The low unemployment rates, the high bond ratings, and all the green that you see on the Florida Chamber report card. And I know we got a little bit of red on there too, but we got more green. The state of our county is good because of how we value each other, how we treat our workers, and try to do good by each other. People from all over the world are welcome here. Different faiths, different colors, everyone under the sun. So it all makes for a very unique place, a place you want to call home, and are proud to do so, and I know I am. So thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. Work hard, be nice.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Awesome. Next up, it's my privilege to introduce Stacy Ritter. She is a dynamic and influential leader who currently serves as the president and CEO of Visit Lauderdale, the official destination marketing organization for Greater Fort Lauderdale. With a career marked by dedication to public service and community engagement, she has played a pivotal role in shaping Broward County's tourism industry. Before leading Visit Lauderdale, Stacy was a Broward County commissioner, and before that, she was also mayor. And before that, she represented the 96th district in the Florida House of Representatives. Please welcome Stacy Ritter.
Yeah, I'm going to need my glasses. Okay. Good morning, and welcome to the Broward County Convention Center. On behalf of all of us at Visit Lauderdale, the staff of the Convention Center, and our Broward County Commission and Administration, I'm delighted to welcome you to the Broward County Convention Center for Broward Workshop's annual State of the County. Now, I think I'm actually welcoming you back because when I was mayor, we did this in a small meeting room with 30 people, and I'm pretty sure we were at the Broward County Convention Center, and that was a long time ago. Although, Steve, as I recall, we didn't do it at 7:30 in the morning back then, but I guess it's become a tradition for me to get up at 5:30 to do this wonderful breakfast, and thank you so much for allowing me to get up at 5:30 in the morning and be here to give you some remarks. As you drove in this morning, you saw the ongoing efforts of hundreds of workers. In February of 2020, 1 month before COVID, we shut down this convention center to begin the expansion of the existing facility. Work continued through the pandemic and never stopped. Broward County kept more than 1,000 workers employed on this project during COVID. Over the past 5 years, work has continued to complete the east expansion of the Broward County Convention Center and the construction of an 801-room headquarters hotel with the Omni flag, the new offices of Visit Lauderdale, and the public outdoor plaza and event space. When this project is completed later this year, the Broward County Convention Center will compete for conventions, conferences, and shows against the biggest and the best centers in the world. This $1.3 billion expansion project will add over 525,000 square feet in meeting space to our existing facility and the ability to host a lunch or dinner for 6,000 of your closest friends and relatives in our new East expansion. We are becoming a world-class destination. I can tell you from the tours I've been on that the views from the hotel, the East expansion, and the plaza showcase everything from the ocean and the intercoastal waterway, our beachfront hotels, the downtown Fort Lauderdale skyline, and of course, our beautiful ships in our thriving cruise industry. We expect the convention center to open, the whole expansion project to open in just a few short months, June, in fact, of this year. The Omni Hotel is scheduled for its opening this summer as well, and in fact, I was told that reservations go live to the public next month. I know, and by the way, on budget and on time, so let's hear it for Broward County. By spring of next year, the Plaza Amphitheater and stage, as well as the Plaza Signature Restaurant, will also be open. Visit Lauderdale staff is already booking conventions and events that were always too big for our existing facilities. And these events will add countless room nights to hotels across the region, not just our beautiful new Omni Hotel. To name a few, in 2026, we will welcome Orange Theory with 3,700 rooms. In 2020, and these are just a few, by the way. In 2027, the National Funeral Directors with 6,000 room nights. I hear they'll kill you with their humor. I know, that was a terrible joke, which I really wasn't going to do, but they like it. They actually like it. So, In 2028, the Society of Thoracic Surgeons with 7,000 room nights, and the National Conference of State Legislators Summit with 11,500 room nights. We even have a conference booked for 2035. I know, it's hard to believe. Business of every kind in Broward County, from restaurants, attractions, retail, and all the businesses that support our massive tourist economy will enjoy benefits from the completion of this project. Our thanks extend to the hundreds of construction workers who have worked every day to keep the opening date on target, and the hundreds of new hospitality workers that will staff our expanded facility and hotel. Part of the success of the project will be the opening of the bypass road in October of this year, which will connect guests from the airport and Federal Highway through the seaport and to our own front door. In 2026, the world's largest and most prestigious travel conference, IPW, has committed its 2026 convention to our Broward County Convention Center, bringing 4,000 room nights and 6,000 attendees from all over the world in travel and hospitality right here to Broward County. This event, with its thousands of room nights, has never been held in a destination other than in places like LA, New York, and Orlando. It is our coming out party. I am grateful to the Broward Workshop for making the IPW conference one of your top priorities. Thank you. We will need each and every business in Broward to stand up and help us put our best foot forward. The results of a great IPW conference for these attendees is immeasurable to our economy for years to come. And for more details or how to get involved, you all know how to reach me. My name is Stacy Ritter. My email is sritter@broward.org. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you would like to be of assistance. And before I close, I think that we should all give a round of applause to our servers here at the Broward County Convention Center, who honestly, as much as I bitch about getting up at 5:30, they got up a lot earlier than I did. So thank you very much to all the servers at the Convention Center. And again, on behalf of Visit Lauderdale, we welcome the Broward Workshop, its members, its amazing staff, and all of you here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing what's happening on this property. All right, so next up is a very good friend of the workshops, Mark Wilson, President and CEO of the Florida Chamber of Commerce. Excuse me. Who will provide the highly anticipated economic benchmarks and key initiatives of the Florida Chamber. As CEO, Mark leads the Chamber's political lobbying, grassroots, and economic research efforts focused on job creation and competitiveness. Mark serves on multiple boards, including Enterprise Florida, and engages with the Florida Council of 100. A University of Georgia graduate, he holds the Certified Chamber Executive designation and previously served with the Chicagoland and the U.S. Chambers of Commerce. Please welcome Mark Wilson.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Well, good morning, everyone. And it is an honor to be back here again. And Beam, Stacy, thank you very much for your comments, and congratulations on what you're doing in your respective organizations. I have a lot to cover in a short amount of time, and I've been looking forward to this for months, and so I kind of want to get right into it. I do want to thank the chairman of the board of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, Keith Koenig from City Furniture, and several of our board members, Charlie, David, Randall, several of our board members are here today, and I just want to thank you for all of you who support the work of the Florida Chamber. To all of you who work with us all year long, you know we're a nonpartisan but pro-business organization, and free enterprise is what we try to champion. And so I won't be able to help myself as I walk through some of the metrics of what's happening in Florida and what's happening right here in Broward. I want you to know we look at it through the lens of how do we grow the private sector. I do want to acknowledge some of you were in the room at the Broward Workshop. years ago when Wayne Huizinga was there, and he heard a presentation similar to the one I'm going to give this morning. And my premise was what would happen if the Broward Workshop, i.e. the business leaders in this community, and the mayor and the county commission, the school board, the city council, right on down the line, what would happen if we picked a point in the future and had common measurements? How many jobs need to be created by 2030? What if 100% of our kindergartners could read at grade level by 2030? And the point I'm trying to make here is for my time on stage this morning for the next 15 minutes or so, I want to call BS on political speak. People are sick and tired of the right nailing the left and the left nailing the right. What we need to do is we need to work together as leaders on where are we trying to grow and how can we do it together. We should argue, thank you. We should argue like crazy over how to do it. But if we need 80,000 more jobs in Broward County by 2030 to help people who are in poverty get out of poverty and to help the employers, the small businesses and others who are creating the jobs, can't we agree that that's like one of the highest goals we could have no matter what your politics are? And so if it feels like I'm giving a pro-business free enterprise perspective, it's not your imagination. It's because we believe all taxes, if we're going to do the things that you heard about this morning, we need tax revenue to make that happen. Not one penny of tax revenue ever comes without economic activity. People have a job, people spend money, that creates taxes. That's how the economy works. And so if we all understood what makes the cash register ring, then couldn't we align around 7 or 8 key metrics about how could we make these metrics win? How could Broward County show the nation how to grow the private sector? And wouldn't it be great if the problem was you have so much extra resources that you don't know what to do with it? That's actually very possible. And that's why that day when Wayne saw what we had to do, some of you know this story, Florida Trend wrote about it. I got back to Tallahassee the next day and he overnighted me $1 million. And some of you know, we immediately created the Florida Scorecard. We eventually created the FloridaGapMap.org. I'm going to show you both of them today. The whole point of that was, what if in a nonpartisan way, everybody from the United Way to the Broward Alliance to the Broward Workshop to the County Commission to the mayor to the school board to the residents of Broward County, what if we had a common measurement of 7, 8, 9, 10 things that we all agreed, no matter what your politics are, we're going to try to get these outcomes. And I want to start there today because I'm going to go fast through my presentation. And I don't want you to look at this through a political lens. I meant what I said. I want to call BS on political speak, at least during my time this morning. And I want everybody in here to think, what would we have to do to close these gaps? Right? We have best practices out there. So I want to say that. Okay, what are we talking about here, right? So big picture, what we have is if Florida was a country, we would be the 16th largest economy on the planet, okay? We're bigger than Saudi Arabia, 1.7 trillion, and we're going to pass Mexico and Spain soon. I say all that to say we can be the 10th largest economy on the planet by 2030. That's what we're trying to accomplish. How do you do it the right way? See up there it says 39 goals? The research told us there's 39 things that we need to do in a nonpartisan way. From 100% of our third graders reading at grade level, to fixing our broken legal climate, to helping our ports get more exports, right? Which means manufacture more. We don't have time to go through all 39 goals. But look at what's on here, right? I'm not a big reader of PowerPoints. You can read this for yourself, but look at the Broward numbers. So Florida is going to have, we have 23 million residents. We're going to have 2.8 million more people in Florida by 2030. You're going to have a couple 100,000 more people in this county. Florida needs about 1.5 million new jobs. You can see how many new jobs we need in Broward. This is what we've been talking about? What if the county commission talked about how many jobs do we need by 2030 at every single meeting between now and 2030? And what if the business community and the county worked together to say, hey, are we getting more jobs? Are we getting fewer jobs? What do we need to do? What can CareerSource do? What can the college do? Right? Bob Swindell and his group do a great job with this. My perspective of Broward County is we have a lot of people doing a lot of important work. We could get common measurements so we have force multipliers. Right? You've heard me say before, it's like an aircraft carrier with 5,000 outboard motors on it, and everybody point it wherever you want. What would happen? It would spin in a circle. But what would happen if everybody agreed, hey, here's where we're all trying to go, and we pointed it the same direction? It wouldn't matter your politics. It wouldn't matter your background. It wouldn't matter if you were government, nonprofit, or business. So this is not rocket science, but it's what we're talking about. Last night, I said to a group of people, I asked a question, and I want you to think about this too. It's two questions. If Florida was a stock, would you be investing in it? Universal yes. If I switch the question and say, if Florida was a mutual fund and Broward County was a possibility of you putting in your mutual fund called Florida, would Broward County be in it? When you ask it that way, some people say yes, some people say no. The Florida scorecard allows you a chance to say, here's what we need to do going forward to make sure that everyone would say, absolutely, you couldn't have a mutual fund called Florida without Broward County being in it. 6 pillars of Florida. Appreciate the Broward Alliance and the workshop aligning around the 6 pillars. Again, the Huizenga family had a lot to do with us investing here. Here's what the 6 pillars mean. There's no one silver bullet in any community in America. There's no one silver bullet in Broward County. You can't do one thing and expect it to solve everything else. There's literally 6 different policy platforms, from education and talent to economic development, infrastructure, business climate. I could go right on down the line. The grand slam would be, what if the county, the workshop, Chambers of Commerce, United Way, Boys and Girls Club, everybody in between, what if we took a look at these 6 pillars and said, okay, what are we doing in talent to get the outcome we need? How are we aligning economic development with what we're doing in talent? And what about traffic? What about freight? Moving people around, right? What are we doing? On the slide prior, you probably saw, we're going to have 2.5 million more drivers on our roads in Florida by 2030. And I know some of you are going to find me later and say, how do we stop that from happening? California, New York, and Illinois had the same problem. They didn't get ahead of it. So now they're losing 200 to 300,000 people a year, and we're adding people every year. The time to be thinking about the future is right now. And the reason I put the 6 pillars up here is, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute blessing for everyone in this room to call ourselves Floridians. But for those of you who call yourself leaders, whether you're in government, nonprofit, private sector, whatever it might be, it's more than a blessing. It also comes with a responsibility. And I think if we look at other states that are now losing population and losing businesses, we have to reflect on what's our responsibility as leaders at a time when Florida is looked at from an economic standpoint as a leader. How do we make sure we make the decisions to keep it going? Just real quick feedback for everybody in here. These are the top 4 things people call the Florida Chamber about right now. Affordable housing, infrastructure, right? Talent. We have more open jobs in Florida than people looking for work. And then the rising costs, especially lawsuit abuse costs that drive up auto insurance, property insurance. A lot's been done in that space in a bipartisan way, and we appreciate it. Top 4 issues. Okay, check out some things that are going on in Florida, right? So, lowest debt per capita of any state in the country. We have more business relocations coming to Florida than any state in the country. We're 4 times the business relocations of Texas, just to put it in perspective. Think of hurricanes. If you take the entire planet and you take all of the insured hurricane risk on planet Earth, 1/3 of it is in Florida. So having a conversation about resiliency, blue economy makes all the sense in the world, especially if we look at it from the perspective of, how do we prepare, how do we mitigate, how can we be more resilient? We're creating 1 out of every 12 new jobs in the United States, but we have over 700,000 kids in poverty. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Okay. I mentioned the Huizenga investment in the work that we do years ago, and that manifested itself into these 2 scorecards. They're totally free for every resident of Florida, and I hope that your organization, your company, your nonprofit, your county, I hope that you will use these scorecards as a way to measure how we're doing. The FloridaScorecards.org measures how we're doing at the state and county level. The Florida Gap Map, we have 983 zip codes in Florida, folks, and I think you have 55 in Broward. The Gap Map measures over 100 different metrics at the zip code level. This is a very, very big deal. It's very important that we focus on that. Here's what the Florida Scorecard looks like at the county level, right? If I asked, does Broward County have more jobs today than you had a year ago? Most of you would say, of course we do. You actually have over 7,000 fewer jobs today than you had a year ago. So now let me go back. By the way, and you can see on here, you have more jobs open right now than people looking for work. Now, some of you are surprised at these numbers, I promise. I go back to what would happen if the county commission started with this at every single board meeting, and the Broward Workshop did too, and others. I'm not trying to pick on the county and Broward Workshop. I'm just saying leaders need to lead with this. All right, wealth, right? More wealth moves into Florida every hour of every day than any state in the country. We're talking about taxable federal income. That's the definition here. It's so much wealth moving into Florida that we have to measure it by the hour. Okay, so it's over $4 million $4 million an hour moving into Florida. We're 3.5 times Texas. California, Illinois, New York are all losing over $1 million an hour of wealth to places like Florida. So again, measuring this stuff matters because then we can do more of what causes this to happen. The next question is, how do we leverage the companies, the wealth that's moving to Florida? We pulled out Broward County here just to give you a quick example. You've got over $2 billion on a net basis of wealth moving into the county. And if you look at it, your top 10 in Florida, if you were a state, you'd be ahead of Idaho, you'd be ahead of Colorado on this metric. Just this county has more wealth moving into it every hour than the entire state of Colorado does and the entire state of Idaho does. You would be number 8 on the national list, okay? Let's talk about that and let's talk about how to leverage that to get more private sector to create more jobs. Speaking of more jobs, small business is where it's at. And we had a 2030 goal of how could we be the number 1 state in the country for small business, for new business startups. Folks, we've already accomplished that. Florida is already number 1 in the country for new business startups. And diversification of the economy matters greatly. We're number 1 in the country for black-owned business. Florida's number 1 in the country for black-owned business. We're number 2 in the country for women-owned business. We're number 2 in the country for Hispanic-owned business. We want to be number 1 in every one of these categories. Let's measure this at the county level. Let's put a group of people saying, how can we further help support new business startups, and how can we further help sustain who's here? Affordable housing is something that's on everyone's mind. Broward is actually below the median for the whole state. And so as you can see here, interest rates have a lot to do with what's going on, but we have more homes for sale now than we've had. It's all the way back to, I think, 2020, 2021, last time we had this. I'm often asked, how can anyone afford to do this anymore? And you can look at this slide later, but basically, across the country, it takes $99,000 of income to be able to afford the median home in this country. You come all the way down, you see what it is in Hawaii, you see what it is in Massachusetts, California, and then of course you can see, what do you have to earn here in Broward in order for that metric to work. Again, let's be talking openly about this so we're solving the right problems. I mentioned lawsuit abuse pretty much everywhere I go, and it's not popular in a lot of places. We have more billboards telling you to sue someone than any country on the planet does. Florida does, okay? No problem with lawyers. God knows we need lawyers to keep things straight. But the people on the billboards, by and large, and I know I'm going to get love letters on this, and just go ahead. Here's the deal. Homeowners insurance. Just want to give you a quick one on this, okay? The average family of 4 in Florida today pays over $5,700 to live in Florida to pay for what's on the billboards. The lawsuit crisis that we have in Florida makes everything more expensive. It's so obvious in auto insurance and in homeowners insurance. Please look at the numbers up on screen. Please take a picture. Please have a company meeting when you get back. Have HR pull all of your employees together and explain why your homeowners insurance rates have gone up. Here's the deal. Florida has about 10%, under 10%, I'll call it about 10%, of the nation's homeowners insurance claims by number. Does that make sense? You file a claim with your insurance company, 10% of the nation's claims. Folks, we have over 70% of the nation's lawsuits on homeowners insurance. So next time you pass a billboard, thank the person on the billboard for the reason you're paying what you're paying. Now, kudos to a bipartisan group in the legislature for starting to address this. I'm going to give you some numbers you probably haven't heard before. Since this bill was signed, we've had 11 new insurance companies move into Florida to start competing for your business. We've had 17 insurance companies file for rate decreases because they want your homeowners insurance. We've had 34 insurance companies file for rate freezes. And the numbers just came out. Florida, and you haven't heard this before, Florida had the lowest increase of homeowners insurance in the country over the last 12 months, less than 1%. Now, some of you are saying, I haven't heard that before. We said when this bill was signed that it was going to take 2 to 4 years for rates to start to stabilize and go down. It's actually happening faster than we thought it would. But we have to keep the pressure on. Not every insurance company is perfect, and not everybody on the billboard is doing the wrong thing. But the conditions for this kind of inflation from lawsuits was there, and kudos to Chip LaMarca and others in the legislature for helping to solve that. Okay, I want to just bring this in for a landing here, but you would expect the Chamber of Commerce guy to, be only sharing things with you that are positive. Well, there's a lot to be positive about in Florida, and I've talked about a lot of it already. But our economists and our chief of research takes a look at who's moving to Florida and who's moving out. I'll start with this. We still have more people dying in Florida than are born in Florida. We have about 8,000 more deaths than births. Texas is number 1 in this category, more births than deaths, but we have to pay attention to it. Look at the screen here. 2 years ago, when the numbers came out, we were losing population to 14 states. And the numbers just came out for the prior year, and that's now up to 19 states. Right? This isn't what you want to do when you're a growing state, when we need talent, when we have more open jobs than people looking for work. Now, I'm not going to get in the weeds on this too much, but look at the numbers. Fewer people moving in, more people leaving. And if you look at the map, you can see most of the states that people are leaving to have lower cost of living. The number 1 reason people tell us they're leaving is affordability. It goes right back to the kinds of things we all need to be working on together. Now, if you peel back the onion even further, ages 20 to 29 in Florida, we have more people leaving than moving in. That's when you typically start your family. That's when you typically buy your first home. That's when you typically start your first real job.
and we have more people leaving than moving in. Now, I'm not willing to say this is a trend. I'm just telling you this is what's happening on the most recent data that we have. You all can decide if it's happening in your community or not, but it's something we need to pay a whole lot of attention to. Speaking of people working, I hope you all know about this. Our partners at CareerSource have helped promote this. There's 21 CareerSource regions, workforce regions in Florida. Broward's actually its own region. And so what we now have is all the way out to 2032, we now have what the top 30 in-demand careers are going to be right here in Broward. In demand meaning they're the ones that people need the most, and they pay at least 30% higher median wages. I want the school board talking about this at every meeting. I want the Broward Workshop and the Fort Lauderdale Chamber and everybody else. What if our middle schoolers and high schoolers knew that there's amazing career opportunities right here in Broward? You don't have to leave. What if they knew that about half of these careers don't require a 4-year degree? We have to have universities that are providing excellence, and we have to have colleges, both state and technical, that are preparing people for the kinds of jobs that you see. If you're not familiar with this brand new report, look it up, contact me. We need everybody talking to our kids and grandkids about the cool opportunities that exist right here in Florida. So I mentioned the Florida scorecard, and we have state and county data. I'm not going to go through each of these, but by and large, Broward County is on par. Mayor, you talked about a lot of green, right? Green means better than last year. Red means backwards from last year. Most of the education stats in Broward are better than they were the year before, and by and large, pretty average compared to Florida. I'm going to get into the weeds on this for just 2 slides. What about early learning? Kindergarten readiness. Do you see this here? 51% of Broward's kindergartners are ready for kindergarten when they show up on day 1. Who's responsible for getting this to 100% in Broward County by 2030? Okay, here's the point. You can see about 58% in the numbers down of your 3 and 4-year-olds are going through a pre-K program. But look at the numbers. About 2/3 of kids who go through a pre-K program are ready for kindergarten. Only about 1/3 are ready if they don't go through a pre-K program. So we all ought to be talking about how do we get everyone going through a pre-K program. Look at the gap map on the right side there. You have a zip code in your county where about 90% or more of the kids are ready. You have a zip code where only 20% of the kids are ready. Let's socialize that, let's talk about that, and those of you who have the means and passion and interest, whether it's volunteer hours or philanthropy or anything in between, what are we doing to get all of the schools at 100% and every kid at 100%? Fast forward from kindergarten reading and kindergarten readiness and talk about 3rd grade reading. So 57% of your 3rd graders in the county are reading at or above grade level. That's above the state average. And before you say that's terrible, Florida's a top 10 state in the country on this metric. And America's not a top 20 country on this metric. We can do way better. It starts with kindergarten readiness and early learning. We have some meetings later today where we're going to talk more about what can the business community do to further support Broward County being the first county in America where we have 100% of kindergartners ready and 100% of third graders ready. All right, I'm going to wrap up with a point that I hope is not lost on everybody in this room, and that is, I think leaders, whether it's business, government, nonprofit, I think once you see something, you can't unsee it. And what happens when you see numbers for the first time, our tendency is to say, I didn't know that. And then I say, I don't believe that. And then we say, if that's true, we have to do something about it. So the investment that the Huizingas made years ago that created the scorecard that now created the zip code gap map, look at what you're seeing here, right? So you can see 55 zip codes in Broward. And I just want to share a couple of facts. 63,000 kids in poverty in our county. 63,000 kids in poverty in our county, 55 zip codes. More than half of all the kids in poverty in Broward are in only 10 zip codes. What if we listed the 10 zip codes? And what if your volunteer hours for your company or your philanthropy, what if you're reading in those areas? What if you're going into the zip codes, doing job training, bringing opportunity into those zip codes? There's a lot the private sector can do. What about third grade reading? I gave you the number for the county. You've got almost 8,000 kids in third grade not reading at or above grade level. 198 schools in here. More than half the kids who can't read are at 63 schools. Folks, don't one person leave here today and think we're criticizing teachers or principals. It's the opposite. If anything, I'm saying the business community can do more. We need to know where these schools are. We need to partner with principals and the school board, and we need to say, like Bob Moss is doing at his company, like JM Family is doing, and so many of you are doing, let's go into those schools and let's change the game. You can't do that if you don't know what's going on. Finally, some things to take a look at, right? I'll leave you with this slide. There's a lot we can control, and the mayor, I think, alluded to this when he got up here. There's a lot we can't control, right? Geopolitics around the world, what happens in Washington. These are things that are going to happen, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether we like them or whether we don't. But we can control what we can control, and we need to. Speaking of Washington, look, it is a good thing to have a White House in Washington full of Floridians. I think this is better for us than any other state has it. Some other time, I'd love to talk about mental health, right? We put out a clarion call. How can Florida be the first state in the country to get mental health right? There's a huge initiative going on here. Kudos to future Speaker of the House, Sam Garrison. He gets it. Everybody in this room is going to benefit. Finally, and Steve, I'm going to give it back to you now. Finally, the port came up earlier, and I'll forever call it Port Lauderdale for lots of different reasons, like Port Tampa Bay and Jacksonville and everybody else. I don't say that to fight with anybody. I say it because what you're looking at on screen right now, one of those 39 goals, how can Florida be the 10th largest economy in the world? We have to triple down on manufacturing, on things that are made in Florida. Right now, we're number 11 in the country. We need to be top 5. And when I think of how great your port is, when I think of Port Lauderdale, I want you, every time you see a ship come in that has a container on it, not cruise ships, generally speaking, every container coming in is full. But when you see the ships leave, understand they're half full. Half of all containers leaving Florida are empty. If you've ever rented a car one way or flown one way, you know what that does to the cost of travel. Let's make more in Florida so that we can export more, right, and fully take advantage of the amazing ports that we have. These are great jobs. We launched a campaign to highlight things that are made in Florida. It's called Coolest Thing Made in Florida. And we're going to announce the winner of this year's later in the fall. I'm asking all of you, if you know a manufacturer that makes something cool, whether it's food or rockets or anything in between, nominate them. How cool would it be for a Broward manufacturer to be the recipient of the Coolest Thing Made in Florida? Folks, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for your support of the Broward Workshop.
All right. Thank you, Mark. It's refreshing. You know, it's always great to talk about all the great things, but we should also look at those things that need our help, especially from the business community. So I'm going to cut out quite a bit of this because I'm going to try to move things along because we did start late and we apologize for that. But I do need to talk a little bit about Broward Workshop and who we are. We're a forum of 120 business leaders and professionals committed to facilitating solutions to Broward County's critical issues. We have 11 committees and subcommittees. We identify, prioritize, communicate, and advocate for the most important business-related issues facing Broward County. So we create coalitions between the private and public sectors, as well as community stakeholders, which enable us to enhance our effectiveness, as well as commit resources to achieve meaningful results. So just a few, and I'm going to touch really briefly on these again in light of time. Our Business Advocacy Committee is chaired by Dennis Smith, Joel Goldstein, and Shane Strum. They're currently monitoring the development of the Solid Waste Authority with Jamie Cole, as well as working on promoting the marine industry, the Marine Research Hub, and Ocean Exchange. Our Healthcare Committee, chaired by Shane Strum, Aurelio Fernandez, and Joe Goldstein, is focusing on improving access to healthcare in areas that are underserved and increasing the pool of healthcare students, colleges, and universities. Our Community Resilience Committee, chaired by Rob Cornairns, Peter Moore, and Rick Deere. This committee has been very active in the past couple of years, and as the mayor mentioned, working with he and Dr. Gerardo on the community resilience. Huge work there. Our our Cultural Affairs Committee is chaired by Jarrett Levan and Annie Cagnetta. They have, their main focus is to work with the Florida Council on Arts and Culture and our elected state representatives to maintain the historical levels of arts and culture funding to Broward County arts organizations. Our Education Committee, chaired by Kathy Koch and Jennifer O'Flannery Anderson, they're working on the school voucher program and the impact on funding to the public schools. Again, I'm running through some of this, so you guys don't get upset with me that I cut your stuff down. Let's see. Next, we have Sean Davis, Arlene Pecora, and Tom Shea. They head our Community Opportunity Committee. They work to promote inclusive business practices, strengthen community engagement, address systemic barriers, and enhance business relationships through equity. Our Technology Committee is chaired by Christopher Leonard, Greg Nordone, and Manish Harapura. This committee continues to be a strong advocate to having Broward County be recognized nationally as a technology hub. Transportation Committee, led by George Platt, Randall Vitale, and Alice Bravo, they have a long record of achievement and enjoy the robust participation of our partners in the public, private, and NGO sectors as we support 21st century transportation solutions for this community. And as the mayor alluded to, we are heavily involved in commuter rail, projects at the airport and the seaport. Our Affordable Housing Committee is chaired by Walter Duke. He's a committee of one, but we work hard. He works hard. We know that housing affordability is such a top issue for the county and the state, and it works with our county officials as well as Monica Shapiro, so I want to thank you all for that. Ina Lee, Tim Petrillo, and Andreas Ianu chair of the Tourism Committee, and most of what I was going to say, Stacy hit on, with IPW and the efforts through that. That is one of the committee's top goals, to make this a top-tier destination through education of our, hospitality sector. And let's see. Lastly, the Urban Corridor Committee is chaired by Russ Clinette, Bill Rotella, and Mike Weymouth. And this committee has been very busy the last couple of years. They've extended the opportunity and invitation monthly to the county shareholders, including the DDA, Fort Lauderdale Chamber, and the city managers. And we've had many meetings with local governments, Oakland Park, Hollywood Plantation, and others to follow. So with that, I think that really kind of does show you that we have very busy members. They're running their own successful businesses, but these people give up their time for Broward County, and they stay deeply involved on these critical issues. Okay, now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Brian Solis. Forbes has called Brian one of the most creative and brilliant minds of our time. ZDNet heralded him as one of the 21st century business world's leading thinkers. And Entrepreneur Magazine described him as a world's top super forecaster. He is a world-renowned digital futurist and 9-time best-selling author. His latest book is a USA Today bestseller titled Mind Shift: Transform Leadership, Drive Innovation, and Reshape the Future. It's a visionary guide for leaders to embrace new thinking, navigate technology, and mark disruptions, and inspire meaningful change. Brian has consistently been recognized as one of the world's leading thinkers and keynote speakers in innovation, business, transformation, and leadership for over 2 decades. He's here today with us to enlighten us. So now sit back, open your mind, and put your hands together. Welcome Brian to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. This is a big room. Don't worry, I'm not going to stand behind the podium. I'm too short. So nothing says innovation like PowerPoint slides, so let's get going. Charting the AI future. I'm here to talk about AI, but I'm also here to talk about 2 things that Mayor Beam emphasized. One was efficiency. The other is curiosity. And curiosity is probably one of the greatest assets that we could have in our possession right now. There's a lot to be overwhelmed by, not just in terms of everything happening in our nation or our world, but also on the technological front. Advancements are happening at a breakneck pace. They're accelerating, they're becoming more profound, and one of the things that I've studied in my career over 30 years is that with every new technology wave, we don't necessarily change all that much. We just find a way to put that new technology in the box of business as usual, which is where efficiency comes in. We take new technology and we do what we did yesterday better tomorrow. We make things faster, cheaper, more scalable. And in all of my research over 30 years, artificial intelligence, in particular generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI, is among the most disruptive, if not the most disruptive technology ever. And the reason for that is that it's the first technology that says, sure, try to put me in the box of business as usual and try to keep me there. Try to just use me for efficiency, and we'll see how that goes. Broward Workshop, thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and also for the opportunity to help inspire today's leaders to change course for tomorrow. Because artificial intelligence wants us to think differently. This is Sam Altman. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called OpenAI, most famous for one of its products called ChatGPT. And he said this is the most interesting year in human history, except for all future years. And what he means by that is that there's always going to be something wild, something new, something more disruptive that's going to keep pushing us until we, as individuals and then as leaders, decide we need a new business as usual. We need to think differently moving forward. And to give you an example of that, it's happened over and over and over again, and we tend to resist it. It's human nature. But it doesn't always work out that well.
Guys, I've invented this camera that doesn't need any film. Steve, what the f***? Why did you do that? What? Oh, because we sell most of the world's film. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Just hide it. We'll put a patent on it, but just don't tell anyone about it. Hey guys, I've got a new version of that filmless camera. You want to see it? Steve! Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I just want to say, we are killing it. That disposable camera idea was really good. We're the 4th most valuable company in the world. Geez, those digital cameras are getting pretty popular. You know, shut up, Steve. Tried to tell you. We should probably file for bankruptcy, hey? That was a good run.
Yeah, business as usual works until it doesn't. And the thing that I also study besides technology is also, as a digital anthropologist, how technology changes us. And again, one thing we might not recognize in ourselves or our children is that every major technology wave, let's just say going back to 1994 with the launch of Amazon, every major technology wave has changed behaviors. Changed us, changed our children. We haven't necessarily recognized it because we're still operating within the confines of business as usual, education as usual, healthcare as usual. But now AI gives us the ability not just to automate or make things more efficient, but it also augments our capabilities. And by that I mean, when we explore curiosity and we ask different questions, it's not just about doing what we did yesterday better tomorrow. It is now, for the first time at scale, the ability to do what we couldn't do yesterday tomorrow. And with not just curiosity, but also imagination, we can start to think of the things we didn't even know were possible yesterday to do tomorrow. And so as an example of behavior change, one of the most interesting studies you could look at is how many people forget directions or don't bother remembering directions now because they don't need it with Google Maps or Apple Maps. And so it becomes one of the many interesting skills that we start to lose over time. For example, this little pin I'm wearing here under my pocket square records every conversation, everything that I'm doing 24 hours a day. Battery lasts for 4 to 5 days. And it makes for a very interesting use case. All of that narrative gets put into the cloud, and then I can use AI to go back and study those conversations, not just to remember things, but to also analyze things. For example, as a parent, if I'm at a parent-teacher conference and then I have a conversation with my children afterwards, I can ask AI, how could I have better helped my child in this moment? What are some of the things that I can do to help my child succeed in the areas where they're maybe not excelling? Or as a chef, how can I improve on these recipes? And the idea is curiosity is constantly pushing us to ask different questions, to do different things. The chart that you see here on the screen, this is when the iPhone came out in 2007. And just as an example of behavior change, this is correlation, not causation, but what you see here is when the iPhone hit the market, gum sales, chewing gum sales, plummeted. And the theory is that when we changed our behavior, we were so consumed with our devices that we would look at phones at the checkout counter at grocery stores and not buy chewing gum. Fascinating. But that's just the beginning of all of the behavior changes that are happening. This is an informal survey, but there are formal surveys all over the place, especially if you look at young adults. The number of which people are listening to podcasts or watching YouTube at least 1.25 or 1.5x speed is soaring. And why, you ask? Why are people listening to things faster? Well, number one, because they can. Number two, because we've become an incredibly impatient society. There's just too much to consume. I know people who listen to things at 2x and 2.5x, and I secretly think it's because they like Alvin and the Chipmunks. There's no possible way I could listen to things that fast. But now, the entire music industry is having to consider whether artists should record versions of their songs faster because we've become impatient. And as Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, would say, well, impatience is a virtue. because the consumer never goes backwards. Once they get something new, it is the new golden standard. For example, I helped companies launch curbside and buy online, pick up in store strategies before COVID and then accelerated at COVID. And, the most interesting thing was not the ability to just go through an app, order what you want, pull up into a special parking space, get it, and leave. The most interesting thing about it was the first couple of times it was awesome. Consumers loved it. And then eventually people said, it's taking too long. I want to be in and out in 2 minutes or less. If I have to come into the store to pick up my goods, I don't want to go to that counter with all the analog customers. I want my own counter. And now, in some areas of Florida, in Texas, companies like Walmart are experimenting with drone delivery services. Let's watch that. We're going to need some audio on it, though.
It's 11 pounds and can deliver packages within a 6-mile radius of its home base. In this case, Walmart in the Dallas area. You may not have this in your area just yet, but for people living in the Dallas area or in Christiansburg, Virginia, it is totally normal to see a drone deliver a package in your neighborhood. Here's how it works. The drones sit here on their charging pads in their nest waiting for an order. Once someone places an order in the Wing Delivery app, the order is packed in this tote. The drone will take off from its pad and let down this yellow clip, which an employee will use to attach the tote. This was incredibly fun to do, by the way. I had to go through training to do this. And finally, the drone will deliver the package within 30 minutes or less from the time of ordering. So you might think, wow, an invention for incredibly lazy people. And yeah, maybe.
Not maybe. It's not that we're lazy, it's just once you have the experience of something new and exciting like that, it just becomes the new standard. So it's not just AI. It's all of these things that are constantly pushing society in new directions that we might not realize. But as these things become the new standard, as you think about businesses, as you think about experiences, as you think about services, as you think about education, this is the person on the other side of the transaction. And so it's not that they're just impatient, it's that their standards are also escalating. And they're not necessarily saying it, but they are voting with their feet, voting with their wallets, voting with their time. This is the CEO of one of those drone delivery companies, and he said, people go from science fiction to entitlement pretty quickly. For 7 days, it's pure magic. Then on day 8, they're looking at their watch and saying, you're 30 seconds late. It's true. This is Sam Altman again, the CEO of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is now up to 4.5, I believe, in terms of versions. And every time there's a release, people get excited, and the same thing, people start complaining.
The world had like a 2-week freak out with GPT-4, right? This changes everything. AGI is coming tomorrow. There are no jobs by the end of the year. And now people are like, why is it so slow?
Exactly. Exactly. Why is it so slow? But as technology evolves and accelerates, I want to challenge you to have your own mind shift. And this is that exact moment where we have to start asking different questions, not how can I use it to make yesterday better, but how can I do things differently or what I couldn't do yesterday tomorrow. And an analogy to that is that the electric light bulb did not come from the continuous improvement of candles. Something new happened. And if you think about the apps you use, maybe for some of you, you use Microsoft Office products and you've noticed that it comes with Copilot. Copilot is Microsoft's AI that allows you to use it to write better emails, make better PowerPoints, do formulas within Excel much easier than before. But every one of those examples is using AI to do what you did yesterday better. Now we have to start thinking about how do we break that cycle. Because you can't build the business of tomorrow with yesterday's logic. You can't run tomorrow's business with yesterday's processes, talent, and culture. And you can't plug tomorrow's talent or customers or tech into yesterday's operating model. Every single thing about how we work, how we operate, how we sell and serve is now open for innovation. And it's only going to get faster, smarter, more accelerated in terms of its impacts and potential. This is Mo Gadot. He used to run the Google, basically the Google Future Factory. And he was talking about how with every wave of ChatGPT, for example, wave 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, AI becomes exponentially smarter. It's not linear, like the way we might think about our computers and how fast they go, or how much storage is on our phones, where it was just sort of this cycle of doubling. We could count on that every I think it was 12 to 14 months. With AI, as it gets smarter, it's 1x, 5x, 15x, 30 to 40 to 50x. So the exponential curve of speed and capability is incredible until probably in the next year and a half, we're no longer the smartest people in the room. The systems become the smartest things in the room, with IQs estimated in a couple of years to hit 1,500. So when that happens, asking it to help us write a better email seems moot. What else could we do? Because I'm sure not going to let machines take over me, but I am going to use machines to make what I do and how I think better. And so this is that moment then where we ask ourselves, am I waiting for someone to tell me what to do? Or am I willing to explore? Am I willing to be curious? Am I willing to disrupt myself in order to learn something new, and more importantly, to unlearn something old? For someone who works in innovation, I can tell you that anytime I talk to business leaders who are exploring artificial intelligence, to them, it looks innovative. To them, it is innovation in how they use it. But I have to remind them that if they're using it to do what they did yesterday better, then that's not innovation. That's called iteration. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should all iterate and improve for the rest of our lives. But innovation is creating new value. It's different. It didn't exist yesterday. And the two of them together, whether it's you as an individual or it's you as a business leader, when you combine iteration with innovation, you get disruption. And disruption is doing the new things that make the old things obsolete. And to see that and to appreciate that, we need a beginner's mind. And it's different than an open mind. A beginner's mind asks questions. A beginner's mind is curious. A beginner's mind is self-aware that you have biases that are preventing you from asking even bigger and better questions. The way I like to think about a beginner's mind is having childlike wonder. Remember, as kids, or if you have children, everything's why, or what if, or why not. Everything is possible. And that's the beginner's mind. In a beginner's mind, everything is possible. But oftentimes, we're the experts. We're the smartest people in the room. We've had whole careers and experiences to prove it. We've had failures to prove it. But in a moment of AI, if we bring an expert's mind to it, we're going to know what's on the other side of a prompt. Those outcomes are going to be pretty familiar. So in a beginner's mind, everything is possible. In the expert's mind, few things are possible, and those outcomes are known. Most people who use generative artificial intelligence today use it very similar to how they use Google. They'll ask it questions, they'll tell it to do things, and there's a known entity on the other side of that prompt. Where innovation unlocks in how you use it is when you don't know what's on the other side of the prompt, and you keep prompting it until you start to shape something that is new. This is a profound piece of artwork that a Spanish artist came up with. If you notice, the machines are learning in this picture, and the people are not learning. They're probably on TikTok asking for faster podcasts and YouTube videos. The mind shift is leaving here today to think differently. It's, as Rumsfeld famously talked about, the known knowns. I want to break that down in helping us to have that mind shift. There's what you know, and this forms sort of this central or the center of our decision making. And then there's what we know we don't know. And this is sort of our outer perimeter. This is what drives us for further education. This is what drives us also to keep a safe zone or a comfort zone. And usually the decisions we make about what to do next or how to react or how to lead stem from these two circles. Innovation exists outside of that circle, which is what you don't know, you don't know. And that's exactly where we are with AI. We don't know what we don't know. And the only way to transfer that into knowledge is to explore the unknown, to explore uncertainty in order to make the unknown tangible, to ask different questions, to experiment in different ways, because on the other side of those questions and experiments are answers and experiences, and it's how we make the unknown known. For example, ketchup. Nothing says innovation like a bottle of ketchup. This is a bottle that was designed in the 1890s, and we lived with it. We still live with it. And rather than change it, a lot of us just dealt with it. We all have strategies for how to get ketchup out of the bottle. Some of you use your hand. Some of you use a knife. Some of you shake it and hope it doesn't get everywhere. Or we could imagine new things, like gravity. And life goes on, right? Well, watch this.
So that is very true, actually. Come here. I wrote a paper on ketchup bottle development when I was in college. Right. The original glass ketchup bottle was made in 1890, but then they made a squeezable ketchup bottle in 1983. But it was still difficult to get ketchup out of the bottle. So they made what's called an upside down container, or a gravity container, which was in 2001. And that's the one that you see right there. So I'm going to show you guys why that works. Now, if you were to squeeze a gravity bottle from the front like this, you have to physically squeeze for it to come out. But if you were to squeeze the bottle from the sides and then release, all the pressure is going to push out the ketchup on its own. So take a look. I squeeze the sides. It just releases like that. Super easy.
All right. You now have an advanced degree in ketchup. How many of you knew that? All right. We're all going to go immediately find a bottle of ketchup and try this. I promise you. So the point is that we tend to see the world the way that we are. We don't see the world for the way that it is. And to see the world for the way it is where we unlock new value, where we use these tools to do things we couldn't even imagine. These are the new Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses. She's blind. She's about to demonstrate something for you.
Not only that, but they're amazing for those who are blind or low vision, because you can use the glasses to ask Meta AI about almost anything that it sees, and you can get pretty specific with the questions too. Hey Meta, look, what section of the store is this?
This is the dog treats section.
Hey Meta, look, what kind of treats are these?
The package says Red Barn Protein Puffs Training Treats. It's a high-protein treat for dogs, made with natural ingredients and no artificial preservatives or flavors.
Oh, that sounds nice.
So I actually have these glasses. And the way that I was able to justify them to my wife was we took a trip to Italy last year, and I used them, for a couple reasons. One, it can take pictures and it can shoot video, and I can keep keep my phone in my pocket. So if I'm with my daughters or we're exploring new horizons, I could say, hey, Meta, take a video. And as you can see with the light on the glasses, it's shooting. Or I could say, hey, Meta, take a picture. And it'll capture the image. But more importantly, this is how I got justification, is I could look at a menu or a sign in Italian and have it translate for me in real time. Or I could look at something, a piece of history, architecture, artwork, and ask it what I'm looking at and have it tell me what I'm, not just what I'm looking at, but tell me the history of it. So now, my glasses, this ring tells me how much I sleep. I don't know if I need it because it's not much. But what you're now starting to get a picture of is what life looks like augmented. Doing the things I couldn't do yesterday, tomorrow, which now becomes a new behavior, becomes a new standard, which becomes a new capability. This is me calling 1-800-CHAT-GPT. It is a thing, yes, you can call it. So your homework, ketchup bottle, and also now calling 1-800-CHAT-GPT.
Policy. So how can I help you today?
Can you explain to me the initial value proposition for 1-800-CHAT-GPT versus the online or desktop version of ChatGPT?
Sure. The 1-800-CHAT-GPT phone service offers a convenient way to access information and assistance through voice, making it ideal for hands-free situations or for those who prefer speaking over typing. On the other hand, the online or desktop version provides a more visual and versatile interface, allowing for text-based interactions, easy sharing of links and images, and more in-depth exploration of complex topics.
There you go. And this is getting really close to coming to market at an estimated price of between $10,000 and $20,000.
Right there. How's this? Perfect.
So let's go back to the drone delivery and the lazy comment. It's lazy exponential. I'm totally going to order one of these. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the Jetsons and like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, here we are. So if you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you're on the wrong side of innovation. This is that time now, not just for self-awareness, which is an interesting stat, by the way. Do you know that 100% of people believe that they're self-aware, yet only 10% of people actually are self-aware? Wild. So I'd like you to read this, because this is certainly the state of how I feel when I speak to educators, when I speak to employees. Most people are afraid that AI is going to take their job. And so when you say something like, you compete with AI, you get a response of like, yep, that's exactly what I'm worried about. That's what keeps me up at night. But I want you to read that again. You compete with AI, meaning that if you embrace artificial intelligence as a tool to augment, not just enhance what you do, right? Enhance would be like using Copilot to write better emails. If you use AI to augment what you do, and you explore curiosity and imagination to do what you didn't do yesterday or couldn't do yesterday, you compete more effectively with AI. And that is what the future looks like. It's not just about pushing a boulder uphill now. It's now having help to do something you couldn't do yesterday. And that's the mindset that I'm embracing. For those who use social media, I use hashtag WWAID, and that is a personal reminder for me to break my own routines. And WWAID stands for, in any decision, any strategy, any moment, I'll say, okay, I know what I would do in this circumstance. That's the expert's mind. What would AI do instead? And that's the beginner's mind. Because what AI would do in any given situation is oftentimes different than what I would have done without it. And it's that exploration of possibilities that actually gives you confidence. It actually stokes your own creativity, and creativity is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more creative you become. Here's an example.
A 22-year-old in India just created the first ChatGPT homework machine. This machine will write out all your assignments in your own handwriting. All you have to do is position the paper in the right spot. It even turns the pages for you. As ChatGPT use becomes more common among students, tools like this might make it harder for educators to determine what's real and what's automated. Personally, I feel like if you're smart enough to build an entire machine that automates your homework, you should never have to do homework again.
Right? So, Ketchup calling 1-800-CHAT-GPT and getting a homework machine stat. It's crazy. I do want to make this deck available to you because I've created some slides that we're just not going to go through that you could use as sort of homework. Don't have a machine do it for you. But just to leave you with a few things, because I am going to fast forward through some slides and help keep us on time, I want to show you that the lines "you compete with AI," how true and powerful this becomes. Because over time, when we've used technology to do what we did yesterday better, we've created this sort of linear line of progression. And it's called growth, and it's good. But when you ask what AI would do, it unlocks different things, different answers, different capabilities, and different outcomes. And companies that are embracing an AI-first mindset are actually now starting to exponentially outperform their competitors who are using AI from an efficiency-only standpoint. And so the way that I want to leave today thinking about AI is not artificial intelligence, it's a personal mantra. It's augmented intelligence. We become smarter, more capable, hopefully more empathetic. And as a result of putting those into practice in everything you do, every single day, week after week, month after month, you start to perform differently. You start to create differently. You start to inspire that change around you exponentially. Because those who use AI to do what they did yesterday better become the new status quo, which is wild in of itself. Those who break status quo create a new gap of disruption. And so embracing both becomes powerful. The IKEA example, I'll just tell you really fast. I don't want to go too far over, but IKEA put a chatbot for customer service in play, and it was so effective that it actually solved 57% of first-round engagements, meaning that customers had a question, they got their answer. And so some businesses might, with an automation mindset, say, great, 57% of resolutions means that we can start to think about reducing our customer service workforce to save money. But an augmented mindset would say, 57%, awesome, that frees up resources. What are we going to do with those resources? And they challenged themselves to come up with answers. And what they did was they analyzed what engagements needed more service. And it turns out that people needed help with space, spatial design, So they reskilled those customer service agents as interior designers and opened up a new service. And that new service in its first year generated 1 billion euros in its first year. Save money, make more money. It's a demonstration of growth. Now, what you're looking at is the CEO of Bumble. It's a dating app. I don't use it. My wife wouldn't appreciate it. But I want to give you an example of how crazy things are about to get. She talks about how AI today, it's called AI agents, if you've heard of this. And what an AI agent is, it's a piece of software that can execute an outcome. The most common example is using it to book travel, and there will be agents to do various different things of different steps, and they exist today. They're getting smarter as they go. So in one case, you could say, I just want to book a cruise. I'm coming from California. This is where I want to go. This is the accommodations. And it could look at all of your history, all of your preferences, and an agent can go do each one of those things and bring you back your whole itinerary. And in this case, she says AI agents will actually emulate you, your likes, your dislikes, and your AI agent will go and date thousands of other AI agents and come back and tell you the 3 real people you should probably go on a date with. I know. I'm still thinking about robots doing my chores, but I don't know if I would have ever met my wife this way. So here's your last piece of homework I want to leave you with. It's called, an article I wrote in Harvard Business Review. It's called Rewire Your Brain with AI. Google it. It's available for free. Please read it. It's 12 ways to use AI that you couldn't even imagine. And it simply walks you through, step by step, how to coach yourself into learning new ways to prompt AI. It is literally teaching you how to augment your outcomes. And so I put some of them in here so that when you get a copy of this deck, you can practice them. But I promise you, after a few weeks of trying these, you'll never work the same way again. You'll start to see what would AI do actually come to life in your day-to-day activities, personal and professional. So I'll leave you with this. Curiosity, creativity, imagination, critical thinking, all of these human skills are now back at the forefront of the most in-demand skills for future employers. They are the top 10 lists of what the World Economic Forum says we need to thrive in an era of AI. So yes, we're actually putting humanity back front and center to be in control and in charge of AI and all of the technologies that come after it. Because it isn't just how we use technology. Remember, it's how technology changes us. And we get to choose how it changes us. We can automate, we can be more efficient, and now we can augment. With that, thank you very much.
All right, that is, I just kind of blew my mind, Brian, so that's amazing. So we will have this video as well as Brian's presentation available on our website in about a month. Hopefully we get it sooner than that. What's that? Oh, it'll be augmented. Yeah, Kareen's all over it. Thank you to our program committee for putting this together. Great event, our wonderful speakers. Really a huge thank you to our amazing staff, Kareen Boutros, and Gaynell Smith and Martha Bevel. You guys do such an amazing job year after year. Yes, please give it up for them. Thank you. So again, there was a lot of information shared today and several provocative ideas put forward. As a community, let's continue to work together to solve challenges that face us, enhancing the collaborative spirit that already exists here in Broward County. We ask all of you to get involved in any of the numerous issues and initiative mentioned here today that the Broward Workshop's working on. Please drop off your business cards out front, and we'll keep you informed. We'll share opportunities for involvement as well as our calls to action that will require further advocacy at every level. Thank you for joining us, and everyone have a wonderful day.